Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, looked at your midsection, and wondered why your body chose that specific spot to store every extra calorie you've ever consumed? Most of us are taught to believe that a belly is just a belly, a simple sign that we've been eating too much or moving too little. We treat it like a storage unit for extra energy, a stubborn consequence of modern life that can only be solved by punishing ourselves in the gym or starving ourselves into submission. But the truth is far more complex, far more fascinating, and honestly, a bit more urgent than that. Science is beginning to reveal that your midsection is not just a passive layer of padding, it is an active, living, and highly communicative endocrine organ that dictates your health. The way your belly is shaped, the way the fat feels to the touch, and where it sits on your frame is actually a physical roadmap of your internal health. It is essentially a check engine light for your hormones, your nervous system, your stress levels, and even your microscopic gut environment. Today we aren't going to talk about the vanity of getting six back abs or fitting into a smaller pair of jeans. Instead, we are going to use logic to decode the bulge and understand what lies beneath the surface. Whether you have a localized pooch, a firm protruding roundness, or a soft tire around your waist, your body is sending you a specific signal about an organ that is struggling. In this deep dive, we are going to analyze the chemistry behind the most common belly shapes to find out why they appear. We will look at why your body hoards fat in these patterns, and what that means for your longevity and daily energy. More importantly, we will provide the real logic solution to fix the underlying biological root cause, rather than just masking the symptoms. By the end of this journey, you won't just see fat when you look in the mirror. You will see a diagnostic tool. You will possess the knowledge to look at your reflection and tell exactly what your body needs to thrive and heal. Before we get into the specific shapes, I have a quick request for those joining us on this mission. If you find this level of deep dive science helpful and you want to stop guessing about your health, hit that subscribe button. We are building a community here at Real Logic that values biological facts over fitness fads. And we'd love to have you with us for every deep dive. To understand your shape, we first have to clear up a massive misunderstanding about what fat actually is. In the medical world, we call it adipose tissue, and for decades, we mistakenly thought it was just simple insulation. We now know that fat produces its own hormones and inflammatory signals that can change how your entire body functions. There are two primary types of fat living under your skin, and understanding the difference is truly a matter of life and death. First, there is subcutaneous fat, which is the soft, pinchable fat that sits right under your skin and often causes aesthetic concern. While it might bother you when you put on a swimsuit, it is relatively benign and acts like a backup battery. The real danger, however, is the second type, known as visceral fat, which is often referred to as the silent killer. This fat doesn't sit under the skin, it sits deep inside your abdominal cavity, wrapping itself tightly around your liver, kidneys, and heart. Visceral fat is metabolically aggressive, pumping out cytokines and inflammatory chemicals that travel through your bloodstream to damage your arteries. When your belly takes on a specific shape, it is usually because your body's unique hormone profile is prioritizing one type of fat. Let's start with the first shape, perhaps the most common in our modern high-pressure world, the stress belly, also known as the cortisol pooch. This shape is very specific and can be quite frustrating for those who are otherwise quite active and fit. Usually, the person with a stress belly is relatively lean in their arms and legs, but has a noticeable protrusion in the front. This fat is specifically concentrated around the belly button area and feels somewhat soft but heavy when you touch it. The logic behind this shape has nothing to do with food or calories. It is an issue of the HPA axis. When you are chronically stressed, your adrenal glands are forced to pump out a constant stream of the hormone cortisol. In an evolutionary sense, cortisol is designed to help you survive a life-threatening situation by preparing your body to run. It triggers a process called gluconeogenesis, where your liver dumps a massive amount of glucose into your blood for energy. But in the 21st century, we aren't fighting tigers. We are sitting in traffic or staring at stressful work emails. That extra sugar in your blood has nowhere to go because your abdominal fat cells have 4 times more cortisol receptors. The cortisol grabs that sugar and stashes it right in your midsection to keep it close to your vital organs. This creates a state of chronic hyperinsulinemia where your body is constantly in storage mode, regardless of your diet. The health risk here is significant because a stress belly is a leading indicator of impending burnout and high blood pressure. If you try to fix this with more intense cardio, you will likely fail because intensity can spike cortisol even higher. The real logic solution is to focus on your parasympathetic nervous system and convince your body that the danger has passed. You need to prioritize magnesium glycinate and aim for at least 7 hours of sleep to lower your baseline cortisol levels. Swap intense heart, pounding workouts for long, distance walking and deep breathing to signal safety to your brain and nervous system. The second shape we see frequently is the hormonal belly, often referred to by many as the stubborn lower tire. This is characterized by fat that concentrates heavily on the hips and the very lowest part of the abdomen. It creates a pouch that hangs over the waistband and seems almost impossible to shift with traditional diet and exercise. While this is very common in women dealing with life stages like menopause or PCOS, it is becoming increasingly common in men. The logic behind this shape is usually an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, creating a state called estrogen dominance. Estrogen is naturally a growth hormone, and its biological job is to store fat in reproductive zones for energy. However, our modern environment is saturated with xenoestrogens, chemicals in plastics and pesticides that mimic our natural hormones. When these levels get too high, the body starts hoarding fat in the lower pelvic region as a protective measure. In men, this often shows up as man boobs alongside that lower belly tire because of an enzyme called aromatase. This enzyme converts testosterone into estrogen, further shifting the body's shape and metabolic profile toward fat storage in these areas. This shape is a major sign that your liver is overwhelmed and unable to process the hormonal load effectively. The liver is the primary organ responsible for cleaning hormones once they've done their job and preparing them for excretion. If the liver is sluggish, those old hormones recirculate, telling your body to keep building that lower tire day after day. The real logic solution involves supporting your liver's detoxification pathways through specific nutrition and lifestyle changes. You should focus heavily on cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, which contain compounds that help metabolize estrogens safely. Next is a shape that is often the most frustrating because it changes so drastically throughout the course of a day. The bloated belly is often called the pregnant by evening look because of how quickly the abdomen can expand. You might wake up with a flat stomach, but by 6 p.m., your abdomen begins to distend, feeling tight like a drum. This is often accompanied by significant physical discomfort, gas, and a feeling of being weighed down after eating. The logic here is that this isn't actually fat at all. It is gas and systemic inflammation within the digestive tract. This is a gut microbiome issue where the trillions of bacteria inside your intestines are struggling to process your food. If you have an intolerance to gluten or dairy, or a condition called SIBO, these bacteria produce massive amounts of gas. This gas physically pushes your abdominal wall outward, creating a distension that can be both painful and visually prominent. If you are seeing this shape, your body is telling you that your intestinal lining is likely compromised, leading to a leaky gut. When the gut lining is leaky, undigested food particles enter your bloodstream, causing your immune system to go on the attack. Chronic gut inflammation is the root cause of nearly 80% of all autoimmune diseases and can lead to long-term health issues. The real logic solution isn't about doing more crunches or abdominal exercises. It's about elimination, repair, and healing. You need to identify your specific triggers and consider a temporary low FODMAP diet to starve the overgrown, gas-producing bacteria. Incorporating bone broth or L-glutamine can help seal the lining of your gut and reduce the inflammatory response that causes bloating. By fixing the internal environment of the gut, you allow the abdominal wall to return to its natural, flat position. We then move to the most dangerous shape of all, which we call the hard belly or the visceral belly. This is the shape where the abdomen protrudes significantly, starting high up under the ribs and feeling firm to the touch. It feels almost like a basketball is hidden under the skin, and unlike other types of fat, you cannot pinch it. The logic behind the hard belly is that your liver is under siege and can no longer manage the metabolic load. There are two primary substances that the liver processes with high priority: alcohol and the concentrated sugar known as fructose. Unlike glucose, which can be used by any cell in the human body, fructose and alcohol can only be processed by the liver. When you consume these in excess, the liver becomes overwhelmed and starts a process called de novo lipogenesis. It literally creates fat cells and stores them inside itself, leading to what we call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. As the liver becomes packed with fat, it starts to swell, pushing the entire abdominal cavity and the muscles outward. This is a red, alert shape and a direct predictor of type 2 diabetes and serious cardiovascular disease in the near future. Because this fat is so close to your vital organs, it is constantly leaking toxic inflammatory markers into your bloodstream. The real logic solution requires a complete metabolic reset to give the liver the space it needs to heal and recover. You have to stop liquid sugars like soda and juice, and significantly reduce alcohol consumption to lower the liver's workload. This is also where intermittent fasting becomes your most powerful tool for reversing the damage and burning the fat. By extending the window where you aren't eating, you force your body to lower insulin levels and access stored visceral fat. Lastly, we have the postural or sedentary belly, which is often mistaken for a weight issue when it is actually structural. This is characterized by a belly that seems to slump forward, accompanied by a curved lower back and rounded shoulders. You might not even have a high body fat percentage, but your stomach looks like it's protruding because of your alignment. The logic here is an issue of lower cross syndrome, a common result of our modern desk-bound lifestyle and lack of movement. When we sit at desks all day, our hip flexors become incredibly tight and shortened, pulling the pelvis into an anterior tilt. This tilt pushes the abdominal contents forward, while a lack of core engagement allows the transverse abdomen to become weak. This causes your organs to literally spill forward against a weak muscular wall, creating the illusion of a prominent belly. The health risk here is chronic lower back pain, poor circulation, and a lack of functional strength that can lead to injury. The real logic solution is physical recalibration rather than a traditional weight loss diet or endless hours on a treadmill. You don't need 1,000 sit-ups. You need to stretch your hip flexors and strengthen your glutes to pull your pelvis back. It is so important to understand that your body is never trying to ruin your life or make you feel unattractive. It isn't storing fat to make you feel bad. It is a masterpiece of biological engineering, constantly trying to adapt. It is always looking for the most logical way to protect you from the environment and the stressors you provide it. If you provide an environment of high stress, it stores fat to protect you from what it perceives as a famine. If you provide an environment of high sugar, it stores fat to protect your blood from becoming toxic and acidic. Your belly shape is not a life sentence. It is a vital data point that gives you the power to change. It is the most honest feedback you will ever receive from your internal systems regarding your daily habits and choices. If you have been struggling to lose weight and nothing seems to work, it is likely because you have used the wrong tool. You've been treating a hormonal or inflammatory problem with a simple caloric solution, trying to solve a puzzle with a hammer. The real logic approach is different because we believe that when you fix the underlying organ, the body fixes its shape. If you have the stress belly, stop fighting yourself and start healing your peace of mind through rest and recovery. If you have the hormonal tire, support your liver's detox pathways so it can clear out excess estrogen and restore balance. If you have the bloated drum, listen to your gut and remove the irritants that are causing your internal system to swell. And if you have that hard, firm belly, understand that your liver is crying out for a reset and a break. When the liver is fatty, it becomes insulin resistant, meaning your body has to pump out 10 times more insulin to function. Take a second right now to think about the shapes we've discussed today and be honest with what you see. Which one resonates with you and matches the patterns you've noticed in your own body over the last few years? Identifying the shape is the first step toward reclaiming your health and moving toward a version of yourself that feels vibrant. I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which shape you're dealing with and what your biggest struggle is. I read your stories because they help us create better, more logical content to help you on your personal health journey. If this video helped you see your body in a new light, then I'd love for you to join our growing community. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into biological truth. At Real Logic, we don't care about fads. We care about the science that actually moves the needle for your health. We believe that when you understand the logic of your body, you gain the power to change it from the inside. Your health isn't a mystery, it's a system, and every system has a logic that can be mastered with the right info. I'm so glad you spent this time with us today, learning about the hidden signals your body is constantly sending you. I'll see you in the next deep dive where we continue to decode the science of you and your incredible biology. Until then, keep listening to what your body is trying to tell you, because it is always speaking if you listen. The road to health isn't always a straight line, but it is always paved with logic and a commitment to truth. Whether you are dealing with a cortisol pooch or a sluggish liver, remember that your body is always on your side. It is resilient and waiting for you to give it the right tools and the right environment to begin the healing. Take it one step at a time, one logical choice at a time, and don't let the weight of the past stop you. You have the information, you have the roadmap, and now you have the logic to make a real difference today. Let's get to work on building a healthier, more balanced version of you that feels as good as it looks. Thank you for watching, stay logical, and remember that your transformation starts with the very next decision you make. Before you click away, I want to emphasize that the logic of health doesn't wait for a Monday or a new year. The next meal you eat, the next walk you take, and the next deep breath you take is when the change happens. Your body is reacting to what you are doing right now, in this moment, and it is ready to respond. So choose one thing from the solutions we discussed today and implement it before the sun goes down tonight. Your future self will thank you for the logic you applied today and the steps you took toward a better life. We've covered everything from visceral fat to gut bloating, providing a comprehensive look at the modern abdominal struggle and its causes. Each path requires a different strategy, but they all lead to the same destination, a body that functions as it was designed. Don't let the complexity overwhelm you. Just pick the shape that fits you best and start your journey there today. This isn't about perfection. It's about direction and moving toward a lifestyle that supports your unique biological needs and goals. We'll be here every week to provide the facts and the science you need to stay on track and keep moving. How did you find that breakdown of the different belly shapes? If you're ready to take action on what we discussed, I can help you create a personalized 7-day meal and supplement plan tailored specifically to the belly type you identified. Would you like me to start building that for you?